Think about the last time you scrolled through social media and felt worse afterward. Or remember that relationship you couldn't let go of, even though it was destroying you. Maybe it's that job you complain about constantly, but refuse to leave, or the way you replay embarrassing moments from years ago. Here's something that might shock you. Your mind is actually designed to create suffering, and the harder you try to avoid pain, the more you guarantee it. This isn't some cruel cosmic joke. It's the result of psychological mechanisms that once kept us alive, but now keep us trapped in cycles of dissatisfaction. We've inherited brains that evolved for survival in a dangerous world, but we're using them to navigate modern life. The result? A mind that seeks problems to solve, dangers to avoid, and attachments to defend. Today, we're exploring why your mind craves suffering and how understanding this paradox can finally set you free. Because once you see these patterns clearly, you can step out of them, and that changes everything. This insight comes from two profound sources that have revolutionized our understanding of human psychology. First, 2,500 years ago, the Buddha identified what he called dukkha, the fundamental unsatisfactoriness of existence. He discovered that suffering isn't caused by external circumstances, but by our relationship to them. His analysis of tanha, a deep thirst or craving that drives all human behavior, describes psychological mechanisms that modern neuroscience has now confirmed. Second, British psychiatrist John Bowlby revolutionized psychology in the 1960s with attachment theory. His groundbreaking research with children separated from their caregivers revealed something startling. Our early bonds create internal patterns that shape how we relate to everything for the rest of our lives. These internal working models become the unconscious blueprints for all our relationships. What's fascinating is how these ancient insights and modern research point to the same truth. Neuroscientist Dr. Judson Brewer at Brown University has used brain imaging to show that the default mode network, the part of your brain active when you're not focused on anything specific, is constantly generating self-referential thoughts. This is the neurological basis of what the Buddhists called the monkey mind centuries ago. Together, these frameworks reveal something startling about human nature. We're wired for dissatisfaction. The attachment paradox. Your mind craves suffering through four interconnected mechanisms that feel protective but actually create pain. Understanding these patterns is crucial because they operate below conscious awareness, driving behavior that seems irrational but follows predictable logic. First, the security-seeking trap. Bowlby discovered that children form attachment behaviors to ensure survival. Crying brings caregivers. Clinging prevents abandonment. These strategies work brilliantly for helpless infants. But here's the problem. These same behaviors in adults create dependency and anxiety. We cling to people, possessions, and identities, believing they'll provide security. But attachment itself becomes the source of insecurity. The tighter you hold on to something, the more afraid you become of losing it. Your romantic partner becomes a source of anxiety instead of comfort. Your career achievements become burdens to maintain instead of sources of satisfaction. Research shows that people with anxious attachment styles, formed in childhood, actually seek out relationships that recreate familiar patterns of uncertainty. The mind chooses familiar suffering over unfamiliar peace. Second, the impermanence denial system. Buddhist psychology identifies three fundamental characteristics of existence: suffering, impermanence, and non-self. Our minds desperately try to deny these realities because accepting them feels threatening to survival. We pretend relationships will last forever, that success is permanent, that we can control outcomes. We build elaborate mental worlds where we're the permanent center of a controllable universe. This denial of impermanence guarantees suffering when reality inevitably breaks through. Think about how you react when plans change unexpectedly. The frustration isn't really about the changed plans. It's about the threat to your illusion of control. Every disappointment is your mind's impermanence to denial system colliding with reality. Third, the craving escalation cycle. Research on what Buddhists call tanha shows that getting what we want doesn't end suffering. It intensifies it. Each satisfaction creates a new craving. The promotion leads to wanting the next one. The relationship leads to needing more validation. The purchase leads to needing the next upgrade. Dr. Anna Lemke at Stanford University calls this the dopamine deficit state. Modern life constantly triggers reward pathways that evolved for scarce resources. Your brain treats every pleasure like it might be the last, creating addiction-like patterns to ordinary experiences. This isn't a bug in the system. It's the feature that kept our ancestors motivated to seek resources and mates. Fourth, the false self-protection mechanism. We develop what psychologists call internal working models, mental maps of who we think we are and how relationships work. These models become rigid identities we defend at all costs. But here's the twist. Most of what you think is you was created to get love and avoid abandonment in childhood. The perfectionist, the people pleaser, the rebel, the achiever, these are survival strategies that became identities. Defending a false self requires constant vigilance and creates continuous suffering because you're always trying to be someone you're not. But why does the mind work this way? The answer lies in our evolutionary history and brain development, revealing why these patterns feel so automatic and compelling. Bowlby's research revealed that attachment behaviors evolved because babies who stayed close to caregivers survived. Fear of abandonment wasn't neurosis, it was life insurance. Crying, clinging, and tracking caregiver moods were literally matters of life and death. But in modern life, these same fear-based patterns create suffering where no real danger exists. Your nervous system can't tell the difference between a tiger and a text message that goes unanswered. The same stress response that once saved your ancestors from predators now activates when someone leaves you on red. Your amygdala, the brain's alarm system, treats social rejection like physical threat because for 99% of human history, social rejection meant death. Buddhist psychology goes deeper, identifying what they call the three poisons: greed, hatred, and delusion. Modern neuroscience has located these in specific brain networks. The wanting system in your brain, primarily driven by dopamine, is designed to never be satisfied. As soon as you get something, it starts craving the next thing. Dr. Robert Sapolsky's research at Stanford shows that dopamine spikes highest, not when you get what you want, but when you're anticipating getting it. This is why the chase is more exciting than the catch, why anticipation is better than reality. Your brain is literally designed to be more motivated by wanting than having. The attachment system creates what researchers call internal working models, unconscious maps of relationships based on early experiences. If your caregivers were inconsistent, your brain learned that love is unpredictable and you need to work hard to earn it. If they were absent, you learned that you're not worthy of attention. If they were controlling, you learned that autonomy threatens connection. These models run automatically in adulthood, creating suffering that feels mysterious but follows predictable patterns. You find yourself attracted to unavailable people, sabotaging good relationships, or feeling constantly anxious about rejection, all because your nervous system is following ancient programming. Here's the deeper truth that both ancient wisdom and modern science reveal. Suffering isn't caused by external circumstances. It's caused by our resistance to what is. Every time you think, "This shouldn't be happening," you add psychological suffering to unavoidable pain. The Buddha called this the difference between the first arrow and the second arrow. Pain is the first arrow. It's inevitable. Someone you love will die. You'll get sick. Plans will fail. This is just life. Suffering is the second arrow. It's optional. It's the story you tell yourself about why the pain shouldn't be there, how it could be different, how you can control it. Most of your suffering is second arrow suffering, resistance to reality. So how do we break free from this cycle? Here are 5 evidence-based approaches that integrate ancient wisdom with modern psychology. These aren't just concepts to understand. They're practices that literally rewire your brain's relationship to suffering. Strategy 1. Develop attachment awareness. Start noticing your attachment patterns without judgment. When do you feel anxious? What are you trying to control? What stories are you telling yourself about what you need to be happy? Research by Dr. Dan Siegel shows that simply recognizing attachment behaviors reduces their power over you. This process, called mind sight, creates space between stimulus and response. Practice asking throughout the day, what am I clinging to right now? Notice the physical sensations of attachment. Anxiety often shows up as tightness in the chest or stomach. Craving creates a reaching sensation. Resistance feels like bracing or hardening. The body is your early warning system for unconscious attachment patterns. Create an attachment inventory. List the people, things, and outcomes you're most afraid of losing. Notice how much mental energy goes into protecting these attachments. This isn't about letting go of everything you care about. It's about recognizing when caring becomes clinging. Strategy 2. Embrace impermanence meditation. Spend 5 minutes daily contemplating the temporary nature of everything in your life. Your current emotions, your problems, your successes, even your body, all are temporary. This isn't depressing, it's liberating. Start with your breath. Notice how each inhale arises and passes away. Each exhale appears and disappears. Your breath is impermanent, yet this doesn't stop you from breathing. Apply this same acceptance to thoughts and feelings. Practice impermanence reflection with difficult emotions. When anger arises, notice how it builds, peaks, and naturally subsides if you don't feed it with thoughts. When sadness appears, observe how it moves through you like weather through the sky. This builds tolerance for emotional impermanence. Extend the practice to external circumstances. Contemplate how your current living situation, relationships, and challenges are all temporary phases in a longer story. This doesn't make them meaningless. It makes them precious precisely because they won't last forever. Strategy 3. Practice the RAIN technique. When suffering arises, use this 4-step process developed by meditation teacher Tara Brach. Recognize what's happening, allow the experience without resistance, investigate with kindness, and non-attachment. Let the experience be there without identifying with it. Recognize means getting clear about what's actually happening versus the story you're telling about it. Instead of, my life is falling apart, try, I'm having thoughts about my life falling apart. Allow means stopping the fight against what's already here. You don't have to like the experience, but fighting it only adds second arrow suffering. Practice saying, this is what's here right now. Investigate with kindness means getting curious about the experience without trying to fix it. Where do you feel it in your body? What does it need? What would you say to a good friend experiencing this? Non-attachment means recognizing that you are not your thoughts or feelings. You're the awareness in which they arise and pass away. This isn't dissociation. It's recognizing your true nature as conscious awareness. Strategy 4. Cultivate loving kindness without attachment. True love doesn't try to possess or control. It wants what's best for the other person, even if that means letting them go. Practice sending genuine goodwill to others without needing anything back. Research by Dr. Barbara Fredrickson shows that loving kindness meditation literally changes your nervous system, increasing vagal tone and reducing inflammatory markers. It reduces your own suffering while increasing genuine connection. Start with yourself. Most attachment problems stem from conditional self-love. I'm okay if I achieve this, if people like me, if I avoid that. Practice unconditional friendliness toward yourself, especially your struggling parts. Then extend it to loved ones, but without the agenda of changing them. Love them as they are, not as you need them to be. This is incredibly difficult because it means giving up the fantasy of control. Finally, practice loving kindness toward neutral people and even difficult people. This isn't about becoming a doormat. It's about freeing yourself from the suffering of resentment and judgment. Strategy 5. Question the story of self. Most suffering comes from defending an identity that isn't real anyway. Practice asking, who is the one suffering? You'll discover that the solid self you think you're protecting is actually just a collection of thoughts, feelings, and memories. Try this investigation. Sit quietly and look for the self that's supposedly in charge of your life. Where is it located? What does it look like? The more you search, the more you'll find thoughts about a self, but no actual solid entity. This insight, what Buddhists call seeing through the illusion of self, is profoundly liberating. If there's no solid self to protect, what is there to defend? If identity is fluid, why cling to limiting self-concepts? Practice identity flexibility. Instead of, I am an anxious person, try, I'm experiencing anxiety right now. Instead of I'm a failure, try, I'm having thoughts about failure. This creates space between awareness and experience. The most powerful practice combines all of these. When you notice suffering, pause and ask, what am I attached to? What am I trying to control? What would happen if I let this go? Then breathe into the space that letting go creates. Here's the liberating truth. You don't have to be a victim of your mind's craving for suffering. The same awareness that recognizes the problem can transform it. Every moment of suffering is also a moment of potential awakening. Understanding attachment doesn't mean becoming cold or disconnected. It means loving without grasping, caring without controlling, and engaging fully while holding everything lightly. This is what psychologists call secure attachment, and what Buddhists call loving kindness. The same fundamental freedom expressed in different languages. The patterns that create your suffering were formed to protect you, but they no longer serve their purpose. You can honor their original intention while choosing a different way of being. Thank your mind for trying to keep you safe, then gently redirect it toward what actually serves your well-being. This isn't about suppressing your humanity. It's about discovering what lies beneath the layers of conditioning. Beneath the anxious achiever, the people-pleasing perfectionist, or the defended critic, lies something vast and peaceful. Your true nature isn't the collection of survival strategies you've mistaken for yourself. Your mind will continue to generate thoughts of attachment and craving. This is normal. The difference is that you no longer have to believe every thought or follow every impulse. You become the aware space in which thoughts arise and pass away, like clouds moving through an open sky. The freedom you're seeking isn't something you have to achieve or become worthy of. It's what you are when you stop trying to be something else. It's available right now in this moment as you read these words. So here's my challenge. For the next week, practice catching yourself in moments of attachment. Notice when you're trying to make something permanent, when you're defending an identity, when you're resisting what is. Don't judge these moments. Just observe them with the curiosity of a scientist studying fascinating phenomena. What patterns do you notice in your own attachments? What happens when you experiment with letting go, even just for a moment? Share your discoveries in the comments below. Sometimes the most profound transformations begin with the simple recognition that we're not alone in this very human struggle. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate all desires or become emotionally numb. The goal is to desire without desperation, to love without possessiveness, and to live fully while holding everything lightly. This is the path from suffering to freedom, and it's available to you right now.